All right. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone is brought to you by Live Oaks Golf Club and their restaurant Roosevelt's. You can smash some wings, cheeseburger, Philly cheesesteak sandwich, and play a great round of golf at Live Oaks Golf Club, Highway 49 North, Live Oaks Golf Club. Good morning. Welcome in. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Our guests join us on the Modelo guest line, and we welcome in Chris Nimbley, JetsInsider.com, and Elijah Moore was drafted in the second round by the Jets just a week and a half ago, All-American wide receiver out of Ole Miss. And Chris, good morning. Welcome in. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing there?
Dude, we're doing well. Y'all got a heck of a receiver and talented guy. And you could argue, it was almost a steal because there were a lot of people that thought that Elijah Moore could go somewhere between 21 and 32 in the first round. And yet there he is in the second round for the Jets. Did the Jets look at it like that they felt like they got a steal with that pick?
Yeah, I was going to say you could definitely make that argument, and I know somebody who would, and that's Joe Douglas, the general manager, and Robert Saleh, the head coach. They were both ecstatic to still get him. And normally I don't ever believe GMs when they give you we got three guys in the top 25 of our rankings. But this one, they believed it. I believed it from them. He's just an exceptional player. They've done a lot of rebuilding of the wide receiver core, and he fits in perfectly what they were lacking still. So they're incredibly excited to have such a talent there.
And we were watching some of the highlights over the weekend on the NFL Network of Zach Wilson, quarterback out of BYU, throwing to Elijah Moore. So there's no doubt in Jets land that Zach Wilson's going to start day one.
I mean, they're trying to tamper that down, but also they don't have any other veteran quarterbacks on the roster right now. It's James Morgan, who they drafted out of last year. He's the only other one there. So they're going to bring in somebody, a Brian Hoyer or Nick Mullins probably. But unless Zach Wilson just looks completely lost in training camp or preseason, he's going to be the starter at this point.
All right. So they'll grow together, Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore with the Jets. But, is Moore expected to be a big piece of the offense right out of the gate, Chris?
Yeah, This is interesting because, again, they upgraded the wide receiver core. They signed Corey Davis. They brought in Keelan Cole. They have Jamison Crowder and Denzel Mims, who they took in the second round last year. And Jamison Crowder's their reliable slot receiver right now. He's getting paid $10 million, though. So if they see enough of Elijah Moore out of camp, they could absolutely decide, okay, we're just going to save that $10 million. But I also think they can absolutely coexist on the same receiver core. Jamison Crowder is just a pure slot, and where Elijah Moore is going to do a lot of his damage and play in the slot, he's kind of like a slot plus. He can go outside. He can do some more things. So they can coexist. I'd expect, probably he'll do some start out the season getting limited reps, but by the end of the season, I think you'll expect to see him carve out a huge role for himself.
Okay, so he may not start, but he'll be in the rotation right out of the chute. And mid-season, this guy could be a starter for the New York Jets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys know, you watched him in college. You see the potential there. Obviously, we'll have to see exactly how training camp goes, make sure there's no hiccups with COVID, all that, to make a smooth transition for him. But he's got the potential to be that type of playmaker, and a playmaker the Jets haven't had in a really long time. And again, he offers something different than what the other receivers they have. And I think you're going to see they brought in LaFleur, the OC from San Francisco last year. He's going to run a lot of that Shanahan system. I think you're going to see Elijah Moore in that Deebo Samuel role about halfway through the season. I think you're going to expect him to kind of take over that role and just solidify it.
Yeah, he's a big-time player, Chris. I mean, you're getting a big-time player, and he's a big-time locker room guy too. So that's going to be a huge asset for the New York Jets. So are the Jets, they've been losing forever, but there seems to be a little bit I get the sense that people feel like this reboot could actually work because of who they have as general manager, Joe Douglas, and the new coach. And the division seems to be in flux. I mean, New England's not going to be New England of what they were the last 20 years. And the Dolphins are well coached, but they don't seem to have the right QB. I'm not buying that Tua is going to be great. He may be pretty good, but I don't think he's going to be a world beater. Now, if they land Aaron Rodgers in June, then that's going to be a tough deal for y'all. But do y'all feel like you're in a spot where you can take advantage of the divisions in a little bit of transition, Chris?
Yeah, I think they got to feel that way a little bit. Not so much for this year. The whole new coaching staff, the rookie quarterback, they've made a lot of progress with this roster, especially considering how horrible they were last year. But with the rest of the division, I still think they think this is year one of getting everything started. But if Zach Wilson is who they think he is, then 2-3 years down the line, I think they can absolutely pounce on it. And it's interesting you guys brought me on because I was thinking about this. It kind of feels a little similar to like the Robert Nkemdiche year you guys had, where you just got a huge influx of talent that just came, and you guys keep adding talent now. And it feels similarly now, especially so much of the talent on the offensive side of the ball, which they've ignored for years, really, at the beginning of the draft and stuff. So I think not so much of looking to claim the division this year, but to stake the claim that they're here and these next couple of years, they're going to be challenges to get that division title.
Elijah Moore is now with the New York Jets. We're visiting with Chris Nimbley, JetsInsider.com. He joins us on the Modelo guest line. And they go offense, offense, offense. First three picks. So Zach Wilson, quarterback, BYU. They go with the guard. And then second pick in the second round, he's still there. Elijah Moore will be catching passes and hopefully touchdowns from Zach Wilson at some point. So how long have you covered the Jets, Chris?
I think this is my 12th or 13th year.
Goodness gracious,
it was
man.
Rex Ryan's second year, the second of the back-to-back AFC championships I started at.
So you walk in, you get a little fool's gold, and then they go back to doing what they had done for the better part of a few decades. That's
yes.
Wow. Okay. So, but I do like the fact that, they're actually drafting offensive people because, man, you got to score. I always felt like when y'all won, Chris, you would win like 16-13. And this day and age, like when you and I were growing up, that worked. But now, dude, you got to score 27, 28, sometimes 30, 33 points to win a game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because growing up, I always was a defensive guy. I like the defensive guys. I'd rather have the great defense, but it's 2021. Games change. You can't win that way. And I've been saying for the past 3 years, like, Jeff is joking, just draft all offense. And when they went and they got Sam Darnold, they spent the rest of the draft pick on defense. Even when they went and drafted Geno Smith in the second round, they went and spent the rest of the draft on defense. They didn't give the quarterbacks any help. And, they've failed on their own as well, but you have to build the talent around the offense, around these quarterbacks. You have to give them help right away. You can't wait till year 3 to give it to them. So for them to acknowledge it, like, okay, we need to just focus on the offense. And I kept telling Jets fans for this year, who cares if your defense gives up 60 points? Make sure you get the offense right.
Yeah.
And you can feel confident going into next season with Zach Wilson and the pieces here. And then you can start building the defense from there.
Give me the breakdown in the New York metropolitan area. Is it 60-40 Giants fans?
I'd probably bump it up to 65 even.
Okay.
I'm in North Jersey, so that's very, very Giants territory here, very heavy there. Of course, they've had a lot more success in my lifetime, so that plays into it as well.
Sure.
But it's probably about 60-40, 65-35.
Did Eli Manning's success drive y'all crazy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's one of those guys. Listen to him talk, you love everything about him, but then watching him play, and it's just like, the only time they make the playoffs, they go on these runs to win a Super Bowl, and you're wondering how it happened. Like, everything just seems to fall in place for them during those couple of years. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of frustration for Jets fans sitting there watching him, just being like, how did this work? How, like, it doesn't always work, but when it worked to perfection.
Wow. Okay. So, try to describe the hatred for the Patriots from the Jets fans.
Oh, yeah, that's really tough to really accurately describe it. It's obviously there's a New York and Boston thing, which kind of transcends all sports. You obviously think Yankees and Red Sox more there. A lot of Jets fans are Mets fans, but there's still some of that there. But just to watch and like year after year for 20 years, just the Patriots just beating their head in, and every time that you think you might have a decent team, they're there to remind you, nope, we're better. Except for that one year, that my first year covering, they won that playoff game, and then they went and got lost the next week. But it's just to watch when your team is getting beaten a year after year, and you're looked at as a joke, and you're the second team in the city, and then you watch this New England team just run everything for 20 years. There's a lot of just jealousy, anger, just envy, and just hatred, just pure hatred. Why can't any of this good stuff happen to us?
All right, well, maybe you're on your way. Zach Wilson, new QB, BYU. He was the number 2 pick in the draft. Then they picked an offensive guard, and then they picked Elijah Moore. So Jets went offense heavy. He mentioned they signed Corey Davis, who's a really good player. And so they like some of their pieces. And as Chris Nimbley just said, who's joining us, jetsinsider.com on the Modelo guest line, the Jets are going to start to try to score points, which what a great idea here, the way that the game has evolved. Blake, do you have a question for Jets insider Chris Nimbley?
Yeah, I was going to ask Chris, undrafted free agent Kenny Yeboah, also out of Oxford, and all this is up there. What are his thoughts on Kenny making the team, what he could be, how they view him?
Yeah, well, number one, if you're going to double dip at a school with that type of skill position guys, Ole Miss seems to be a good place to start doing that right now, the way they're turning out weapons. He's got an excellent chance here because they don't really have anybody in the tight end spot that I could even feel comfortable penciling in as an automatic to make the roster. Chris Herndon, they drafted a couple years ago out of Miami, and he had a real promising start, but he's kind of fallen apart. Tight ends can take a little while. He's in his third year, so they're hoping that he can really take that next jump this year. But outside of him, they got some blocking tight ends. They don't really have anything there. And I know he's a willing and capable blocker, can get better. He can definitely do some things as a receiver. So I think he's got, it's always tough for an undrafted free agent. But as far as undrafted free agents go, he's got as good a shot at making the roster as pretty much anybody else in the league right now. The opportunity is there for him if he just seizes on it.
Interesting. Chris Nimbley, Jets Insider, jetsinsider.com, talking Elijah Moore and Zach Wilson, Corey Davis, among others in that AFC East that has, the Patriots have dominated. Although the Bills are coming. That's got to be frustrating too, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't mean to pile on,
absolutely.
but all of a sudden they're good now.
No, you watch the Bills the Patriots dominate for so long, and then they have their year last year, and then you just say, oh, well, it's not us. It's not the Jets. It's not the Dolphins. It's the Bills now, and they're pretty set up for the next couple of years too. So this division's Belichick's still in New England, so it's still gonna be a tough sled, and that's why I'm saying I don't think they should have too high expectations for this year. They just need to make sure this year is about getting everything going on the right track and then continuing on around it.
No, that makes sense. You're playing for next year to get a wild card, right?
Right.
Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, all of them grow up and go through this year, and then you're hoping to position yourself for a wild card in year 2 and then even more as the time goes on. All right.
Right, and then they have a bunch of extra draft picks next year as well, and they're still in good salary cap shape. So if they can just get a good season this year to build off of, they can continue doing it going forward.
Cool. Blake?
Yeah. All right, Chris. You started under the Rex Ryan tenure, which I bet was pretty funny. We love talking coaches and personalities, and we've got some wild ones down here. So can you talk about, you went from Rex Ryan to then like Todd Bowles, Adam Gase, who looked like he was on drugs the whole time he coached.
Good grief.
And then now you've got Robert Salah, who actually feels like he's got the pedigree in mind for it. Can you talk about how fun it was to cover Rex Ryan and then kind of where the Jets sit now with their coaching staff compared to what you kind of walked into?
Yeah, absolutely. When I walked into the Rex, Rex was so great to cover, and I would always, other reporters, like criticize something he would do or say, and it's just like, why are you doing this? He does our job for us. He'd write our stories for us. You could just plug in these quotes, and it was kind of like his press conferences were like a 10 to 15 minute stand-up routine. The players loved playing for him, and there was just a lot of comedy around everywhere. And, he took the football seriously, but he knew how to have fun. And the NFL, that's a lost art sometimes. Mm-hmm. And then to go from that to Todd Bowles, who was a great guy, had a good sense of humor, but just did everything in his power not to show it.
Right.
That's a little bit of a whiplash culture shock thing going there. And then Adam Gase, to throw him into it, and pretty much everyone knew that wasn't going to work from the very beginning. Talking to him one-on-one, and it's like, oh, I understand why people like this guy, but it's not the same. And just as far as covering a coach, watching and covering Rex Ryan, he definitely has his flaws as a coach, but there is not going to be anything or anyone more entertaining than just listening to him just ramble on about whatever.
All right, we'll leave it there. Chris Nimbley, JetsInsider.com on the Modelo guest line, and the Jets with the youth movement on offense, and Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss is part of that process, and they match him up with the first-round pick quarterback Zach Wilson out of BYU, who's athletic and, had a good career. There could be something here, so we'll see what happens. Hey, Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Y'all got a great player in Elijah Moore, and we'll see what the Jets can do with it. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Take care. Chris Nimbley, JetsInsider.com on Elijah Moore, Zach Wilson, and the Jets. Jets. It's unbelievable that Rex Ryan was able to go to 2 AFC Championship games.
Yes. He was
without scoring.
He's electric on TV. Rex Ryan is absolutely hilarious. And it's like an NFL Brett Bielema.
They were trying so hard to bottle something at that time. And the Giants were also going to the playoffs, but they were cashing in.
As he said, it was so frustrating to watch the Giants hit these like one-off playoff runs to turn into Super Bowls.
Yeah.
While the Jets
would go to the AFC.
Felt like they had it.
They were able to go to 2 AFC Championship games, but come up short as far as, punching their ticket to the Super Bowl. And they haven't been since, what, Namath won it and called a shot?
I think that's right.
Yeah, in the 60s. Was that the late 60s or something like that? All right, interesting. We'll keep an eye on the red zone. Allows us to follow all the Hail State Ole Miss players, and especially on offense.
Yeah, you'll know if Elijah Moore scores.
Yeah, and for Hail State fans, that's Dak, and that's pretty much it. For Ole Miss, you've got A.J. Brown and DK, but you've got several others. Now you add Elijah Moore to the mix. He feels like Yeboah has a great chance to make the Jets roster, and he may become he may hang around the NFL for a while.
Well, and what if you're talking about in 4 years, looking back at this draft and going, wow, the Jets got their QB of the future in Zach Wilson. They got a 10-year pro guard with their second pick in the first round, and then they stole 2, better than average pass catchers in Elijah Moore and an undrafted free agent in Kenny Yeboah. You could be looking up in 4 years going, wow, the Jets had one of the best drafts of 2021, which, slap me.
When
that
have
I
you
just
been
said,
able to say that?
Slap me in the face that I just said the Jets had a good draft.
The Jets are
They're the Browns.
they're the Browns.
I mean, we put them in the same conversation.
NFL
every
Chuck's
year.
not going to like that.
Well, how about this? The Browns now are on the positive side. You can argue that the Browns are a top half AFC team now. When was the last time you could say that?
No question.
They may have. I'm gonna even go out on a farther limb. And Chuck, you'll love this one. They may have the best quarterback in their division. I don't know if you've ever been able to say that.
So Lamar Jackson, Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Burrow, and Baker Mayfield. Do I have that right?
That's right.
Okay.
You have no idea what Joe will be post-injury.
All are first-round picks.
Roethlisberger's 105.
Roethlisberger.
And Lamar regressed last year, partly because of his offense and partly because of himself. What's he going to be? Can they schematically keep things moving forward the right direction?
It's a good point. He's not super accurate from the pocket.
He just is. He isn't. He's one of the worst throwers outside the numbers in the NFL. His percentage of passes in the middle is like 30% higher than any other QB in the NFL.
And he doesn't benefit. He doesn't benefit really from any arena game. So he's going to play 8 in Baltimore. He's going to play at Pittsburgh,
Gross.
at Cincinnati,
Gross.
and at Cleveland.
Gross.
That's 11 games a year.
Most of which will be in sub decent weather, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So to push the ball through, like Eli Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, could push the ball through that weather.
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. We even saw Eli struggle late in his career where that ball would start to flutter in the Meadowlands, right? Yeah.
The challenge for Lamar Jackson as the quarterback for the Ravens is
it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, and then if you pull a couple more teams in that area,
whoever you're playing in the AFC,
yeah, that's a challenge for you. But you're talking about several games a year in some rocky weather, whereas a Drew Brees played 8 in the Superdome, 1 in the Falcons, whatever it was, Georgia or Mercedes-Benz.
Yep.
1 down in Tampa.
Yep.
Which is usually fantastic.
At worst, it's raining. It's not
and
cold.
Really, Charlotte is not bad.
Mm-mm.
Every now and then, if you catch a December game in Charlotte, it could be bad. But for the most part, you're good.
You're talking about 11 games where he's great.
Right.
Yeah.
You're in good weather. And if you pull the Cowboys.
That's what I was about to say. It's somewhat like the Cowboys
or
for Dak.
Something like that, then you're still playing a big chunk of your games in 75-degree weather in an arena with no wind.
Yep.
No gusts. No sleet. No snow.
Maybe why Aaron was trying to go out west where he can look. The worst I got to deal with is some wind. That's easy. No cold, no snow. I'm down for that.
Man, Aaron Rodgers to the Dolphins, to the Raiders, to the Broncos. Who knows? Hey, good show today, and hit a variety of topics. College baseball in the first hour and second too. Would love for you to hit Apple Podcasts and search the Out of Bounds Show. It's National Shrimp Day. I love shrimp. I don't care if it's a fried shrimp po' boy or shrimp scampi or shrimp from Mudbugs. But also the fried shrimp po' boy at Drago's Seafood Restaurant and Oyster Bar is delicious. Fried shrimp po' boy from Drago's Seafood Restaurant and Oyster Bar. We'll see you tomorrow.